Action.
So as you see here on these, at all these joints in the siding, we have a nice 1/4 inch gap at each and every one. Some of them may not be 1/4 inch because the house has settled since we installed the siding like 4 months ago.
Yeah.
So the reason we have that gap is to help with expansion and contraction when your home settles, because if you have too close of a gap there, when the siding's in there and the house settles, it'll damage and crack the siding here, and then you'll start seeing it protrude and have other issues. This gap is going to help prevent this from bowing out and also from closing together and damaging.
So it should help us in the summer months as the house heats up and these expand. And then if they notice that it starts buckling, to contact the warranty people. Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you.
For the AC condenser, it has its own individual shut off here. This needs to be on in order for your furnace to push hot and or cold air. So if you shut this off
Shutting off everything
during the summer because you think, oh, I don't need my AC, you still won't have heat.
So, do you recommend a little zip tie or something there, or just so kids don't get at it? Or?
It's completely up to the homeowner.
Yeah.
I've seen some homeowners put little locks on here.
Yeah.
I've seen, I just make sure to check up with codes.
Yeah, you don't want to lock it too hard, because if there's a fire, you want to be able to shut it off quickly.
Yep.
So one of those little, you can clip it off with scissors if you want to lock it. Exactly.
Small zip tie or something. It's just a 4-inch storm clean out access point that we're required to have them. All of your, all of your downspouts and stuff like that, all that tie into this, which then ties into the stormwater system.
Yep.
So if there ever is an issue, a backup from construction out there or something like that, and they need an access point to clean it out, they'll come remove this lid, they'll put a snake through it.
Perfect.
And they'll get it all cleaned out. But
Thank you.
nothing they need to record.
Go ahead.
Okay. Right here we have your 2 condensate lines. These are essentially to help at the mechanical room with any overbuild of condensation, any overflow of water. This is an escape for it to drain. We put the drain rock there just for aesthetics.
Is that coming
reasons.
off the furnace, or what appliances is it coming from?
It's coming off of the furnace and hot water tank in the mechanical room.
Perfect.
So if we go up there, I'll show you when we get inside.
Thank you.
Okay.
Camera.
So right here you have a CB drain that I have a 6-inch that splits. It's more on this property, on your property line right here, that goes all the way down there, and it connects into the CB that's in the street out there.
What is a CB?
A CB it's a catch basin. It's a drain that drains into the stormwater system. It's where the water goes into the ponds. It's where all our runoff goes and everything like that. So there is filters and stuff in here as well as in the drains that are in the yard, but I put this in to help deal with the water that was coming down this hill from the runoff of this hill up there. So it was coming down, coming in here. We put this in here, and all that water just drained right into this. And the reason there's so much rock around it is to help filter all the dirt and stuff that gets traveled in that water that comes into here. It helps catch, as you can see, it helps catch all this kind of stuff, all this extra debris, because if all that debris gets built up in there, it can cause a backup, and then it's a mess. So,
and then the long-term plan?
The long-term plan, our land development team is going to install a French drain starting right there, and it's going to travel along this hillside that goes all the way up there to those houses. A French drain, essentially, it's going to be a strip, is what you'll see back here, with this drain rock on it, and it's going to be tied directly into the storm system. So any water that comes down off this hill into that French drain will then drain directly into the stormwater system. So that way we don't have a buildup of water back here. Right here we call this a Johnson tee. The main purpose of this Johnson tee is to eliminate what you typically see in older houses. It's that aerator that sits on top of your sink. If in older houses, they used to have these a lot. Yeah. This Johnson tee eliminates that, and it also has better airflow and things like that to allow your dishwasher to drain, etc., etc. So that's all that is. It's important that you don't cover these holes. It is a closed system, so you don't have to worry about bugs getting in here and getting in your house or anything like that. But just leave it as is, and it's all good.
All right.
So right here, these are called weep holes for your window. The reason we have these weep holes, one thing we don't do is caulk these between your windows. It's just something that we're not allowed to do.
Well,
You can do it. Some builders do it, but we want to allow the flow of water naturally.
Yes.
We don't want to try and control it, because that's when damages happen. So water, if it gets in here or if it gets anywhere inside this frame right here or anything like that, it goes into these holes. This is just a place for it to escape out, so that way it's not building up, sitting on your siding and causing any damage.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll verify before we get out of here, but sometimes the caulk line will get a little too high, but that's why I go through typically before closings and I just clean them out, so that way there's nothing blockage or anything like
And
that.
you guys, up at the top, there's a metal flashing. That's awesome. We like to put flashing.
Yeah.
It looks horrible if people put flashing here, but just as a homeowner, make sure you keep this free of moss building up. And this might be an area, you guys, that you'd want to touch up the paint annually just to keep it fresh.
I wanted to be a doctor. And
Okay, guys, here's your gas meter. We're going to talk about these valves real quick.
So right here you have your gas meter. I'll double check and verify whether or not they selected a fence. Off the top of my head, I can't.
They did.
They did?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll have it in before closing. He's coming out to set it on Monday. Actually.
That's what I heard from Bryson.
Yeah. So this right here, it's important to keep an eye out for that. I would recommend touch-up painting this every year or so.
Rust-Oleum, something like that.
Just get some Rust-Oleum. You can get that at any generic car part store or even paint stores, Napa, stuff like that. Because it helps prevent it from rusting, because you don't want this to rust too much, or these things will corrode and then gas will leak, and we don't want that.
We don't want that.
However, I like to tell all the homeowners, if you do come out here and you smell any gas, you have two shut-off locations. You have one shut-off location right here. This shuts off the gas from stopping from here and getting into the house. And then you have another shut-off location right here. Depending on where the leak is coming from, you won't always know, but if you smell it, just shut off both locations. Give Cascade Natural Gas a call. They'll be out here within 30 minutes and they'll fix it.
Perfect.
People hit this with a wheelbarrow, people hit it with lawnmowers, things like that. Those are kind of incidences where you see gas leaks coming from.
Perfect.
But it's nothing to be worried about. I just like to prepare the homeowners.
Yeah,
for when
they
these
need
things
to know
do
what to happen. And then what do we have these cables coming in for?
Okay, right here is just a ground. This is a ground because you have to have a ground when they come and set up your low volt. We do not set up the low volt for you guys when but when Safe Haven comes out to set up your security panel and your Wi-Fi, all etc. They will drill holes in your siding to install the low volt. I like to prepare homeowners for that, because too many times that's happened. They're like, they're drilling into my siding. They're gonna do that. Right here is just the connection for them when they come to install you'll get a white box that they'll install on here.
Perfect.
This is where all these wires will go to, because you got your internet and stuff like that, and your cables that run through the house for all that stuff. And this is just a ground. The painters painted it over on accident, but there's a reveal inside the garage I'll show you that you should never need access to, but all it is just where the UFR is in the wall, in the foundation.
Perfect.
As a ground, because that prevents bad things from happening when you have electricity.
All right.
So right here is your emergency disconnect. You have your own in the garage, which we'll get to. This one is really only here for, say you weren't home and there was a fire in your house and the fire department needed to come shut the power off. That is all this is here for. This is just your electric meter. Nothing you really need to do there. This is just where your power and stuff comes from. And yeah, that's the break.
Hey, are these freeze-proof
Yes.
faucets?
So these have a 10-inch anti-freeze copper line in there, as well as being insulated. This one is individually insulated because it's on your garage exterior wall. We don't insulate that wall, but we do insulate the water supply line to this hose bib.
Perfect.
You also have a main shutoff for just this hose bib in the garage, which I'll show you. The hose bib in the rear, that one doesn't have a main shutoff, but it also still has the 10-inch anti-freeze
And that's in
copper
an
line
insulated wall
And
because
in an
it's part of the
insulated wall.
house.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Right here, you have your breaker panel for your house. As you can see here, it's very clearly labeled, nicely labeled. You know where everything is. you'll see here that we have a 240 amp breaker for your range. That is off because we put a 240 back there just in case homeowners want the option to eliminate their gas range. They have an outlet installed already. It's already hooked up. So
Perfect.
if they ever decide they want to do that, they will have it, or it's already hooked up. They'll just need to get their gas disconnected and stuff. Everything else as is, it should be good. If you have a tripped breaker, that is what it will look like. You see how all the other ones are far this way? That one's loose, and if you try to push it, it won't go. All you do is you reset it to off and turn it back on.
So that's an arc fault breaker, right?
Yeah, yes, it is. So if that happens and it keeps tripping, that's when I would recommend contacting your warranty rep, because that means there's an issue somewhere.
Okay.
Now, there's certain areas in the home where they're connected to these GFIs and not the breaker panel here.
Perfect.
So,
And listen, I love that you all have tons of room here. Does this mean if somebody wants to add
They
a
could.
hot tub or an
Yep.
electric car or something, you got plenty
absolutely.
of room? Awesome.
That is what these extras are for. And this is the main shutoff, to shut off everything. So
From
if
the
you turn
inside
from the
versus
inside.
the one from the outside.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's pretty hard to push, but it does.
Yeah,
push.
if there's a fire,
If there's
you
a
come out
fire
here,
or
you're
anything
doing
like
major
that.
electrical.
Yep.
Yeah.
You want to
Awesome.
shut it off from here and make sure to do the proper lockout, tag out,
Perfect.
required stuff for safety for everyone.
Yep.
So I always have to test. You don't have a garage door opener, so one of these is connected to your garage door opener. One of these is connected to your exterior outlets at your front porch and your back porch. The other one is connected to the outlet under your kitchen sink. So for your dishwasher, your garbage disposal, that is where that is connected. The reason it's under your kitchen, the outlet's under your kitchen sink, is because you have to have a place to hook up the garbage disposal and stuff, but it has to be connected to a GFI because it's within 2 feet of a water source.
Awesome.
Because it's within 2 feet of a water source, say your dishwasher corrodes and it starts leaking and it hits your outlet, it'll trip one of these. What that will look like is that. If that happens, you reset it. If it continues to trip, that means there is a problem and you need to contact your warranty rep. Oftentimes these things and breakers can trip if you have too many high-powered things plugged into one area. For example, if you have one bedroom and you have a kid or something, he's got his PC hooked up, he's got his PlayStation hooked up, he's got his TV on, he's got his fan going,
Yeah.
all that stuff, it can overload the breaker and cause it to trip.
And that's a safety mechanism. So
it's just a
just
safety-
saying, move that over to a different outlet.
Yes,
Yeah.
because if you overload them, they get too hot, which is why they trip. So,
And what are the blank covers for?
so these blank covers, this one right here is for the UFR that I talked to you about behind the wall. It is
Yeah.
just it's a piece of rebar that comes up and bends over like this, and it's what your electrical panel and your gas, because your gas line that's outside comes in this wall and it travels over there and goes into the kitchen. The gas line needs a ground per code. The reason it needs a ground is because it's gas, and it's next to electrical things. You combine
Sparks
the
and
two,
gas, not
you
good.
combine the two things together, you get
So you
boom.
want to ground it.
So the reason it's there is the ground helps transfer any sort of energy that possibly could happen.
Static in the air. We had electrical storm
Exactly.
coming. Yeah.
So that's all that is there for, and these are just access points.
Okay.
And this one here, I'll have to take it apart.
Don't worry about it.
But yeah, they're all the same thing. It's just
kind of
access to
access
see
points.
behind the wall.
Yeah.
There's nothing crazy going on back there. Also, there are opportunities for you to put an outlet somewhere.
There you go.
So that's all that is.
This outlet has a GFCI on it.
Yes.
That doesn't. Is there an outlet in here that's dedicated, like you want to put a freezer in the garage? Or are they all on a GFCI? If the power goes out, you're on vacation, your deer dies in the freezer.
Right.
So is there a dedicated outlet that would come back on during the power return?
That one
Okay.
is, but I also believe that's connected to one of these
GFCIs.
That
Okay.
might be connected to the front porch ones
Okay.
as well.
So guys, just something to think about if you ever go out of town. If you don't have a dedicated outlet, the power goes out, it may
Yeah.
not necessarily come on, and then you lose your freezer. So just something to keep in mind, to prepare for and maybe understand if you have one. If not, you could add one.
Yeah, absolutely. Right here, you have your front hose bib shut off as labeled right here, this top one, perpendicular to the line. That is off. This is on. This is the main water shut off to your entire house. You turn that off, your whole house has no water.
So if we have a flood, that's
Yes.
what we would do. Or if we're doing a major plumbing
Yep.
upgrade or something, that's what we would do. Winter time, a lot of people winterize their hose bibs.
Yes.
And so that would be a way to do it.
Yeah, and I can give you some recommendations on that. The best way to prevent it from happening, because the odds are we do put an antifreeze in there, but with the cold weather you get up here on top of the wind, it is highly likely that it can still happen.
Yeah, we had a lot of that this
Yeah,
winter.
we
First
had
in
it
a
this
long
winter.
while,
Yeah.
but we had it.
The best way to do that is to shut the water off and then open your hose bibs and let them drain out for a day. That will allow any, because the drain is, or the hose bib supply that comes in the wall, it's angled so that any excess water can trickle out. Once you do that, then you close the hose bib.
Yeah.
And then it shouldn't freeze.
Yeah.
However, it still can, but if it does
Helps.
happen, do not turn the water back on. Because if you turn the water back on, it can cause that pipe to burst and then water will go everywhere.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you do this, I would recommend not turning it on until after winter is over.
Yeah, so maybe a November through this time.
Yeah,
Maybe
pretty much.
November through the end of March.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because we don't need to water our lawns then anyways.
Nope.
God is doing all the work for
Yep,
us.
that is right.
Hey guys, you're gonna have some extra touch-up paint for everything. They're labeled. You also have a couple of pieces of flooring material. And I highly recommend when it comes to flooring to look at your contract and it says, you know, what brand, what type. Go onto the manufacturer's website and look for how to care for this. Because if you don't know and you start using maybe excessive water on, say, these boards and you ruin your floor, you'll have no warranty. So you want to understand what the manufacturer recommends for cleaning your hard surface flooring. Okay.
So right here you have a heat, CO2, and smoke detector. These smoke detectors, along with the ones in your house, they're all tied in together. They also have a backup battery. That battery eventually can die and it'll start chirping. If it starts, it'll do like a little beep beep. If it starts doing that, my recommendation is to change the batteries in all of them because they all got installed at the same time, and then the next thing you know, the next 2 weeks
Yeah.
after that, a new one's
Like
gonna
dominoes.
do it. And it always does it at the most inconvenient time at 4 o'clock in the morning when everyone's sleeping.
Absolutely.
So that is my recommendation with that, but just know they all are tied in together and have a backup battery if your power goes out or etc. They will still function and work and do what they need to do.
Hey guys, remember you don't have a garage door, but you have the wiring. So this is for the thing that prevents the door from collapsing on a pet or your car or whatever. It's the brake. So there'll be like a little light here, and if somebody walks through as the door's coming down, the door will go up. So that wire is there. Of course, you've got the power there, and then you have the spot by the entry door to be able to let you open the door, close the door when you're coming and going from that door.
This is the, right here, this is the water meter. You should never need to access this. It's more for like the city if they ever need to. But I just like to make sure homeowners knows where it's at just in case someone ever asks them or anything like that. That is all that is how you get water to your house from the city pretty much. So.
And that green cap's another clean out
Yep.
for the, okay,
Yep.
Perfect.
The little, all the green caps you see around here are 4-inch and 6-inch clean outs.
okay, perfect.
Property pins. When Safe Haven comes out to do all the add-ons that DR Horton supplies for you guys, they're going to put the little doorbell camera right here.
Yeah. So
It's
they'll
going-
take that one off,
Yeah.
and you'll have a doorbell
And
camera.
it'll have a little circle on it that you can push, just like you saw at the models.
Yeah.
So that's just like
Similar to a Ring type system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it'll have a wide enough spectrum that you'll be able to see your driveway. I
That's
mean, the
nice.
post will be in your way right there, but you'll be able to see
Yeah.
that space
I
right
like
there.
it.
So,
Can we just get a little touch up on this? Yeah.
so your property line doesn't start right here, but it is in line with here to your grass right there. So if you basically follow that fence line from that grass, the end of the sidewalk right there, all the way along with that fence line is your property line. This pin will also help you kind of line that up for whoever, like when my fence guys come to install your fence, they're gonna use this pin right here. They're gonna run a string line all the way across down to your property line in the back, and that's how they're gonna set their post based off of that.
Nice.
This is your mechanical room. Right here you have your gas line. Right here, just like all the water shutoffs, this is your gas shutoff. So if I turn this, that is off.
No gas.
So now there's no gas. The reason there's one right here, these flex lines over time can start to corrode. Doesn't happen often, it takes many, many years, but if it does, I recommend every 3 or so years just looking at this and making sure there's nothing going on in here. Also, once a year, I'd poke your head in here, make sure it doesn't smell like gas, make sure everything's running. The other part about that is right here. Right here is your filter for your furnace. It is recommended that you change that out quarterly. The little tab that you may have seen on your thermostat downstairs, that is from Bob's, our heating company, the one who installs all of this equipment. They do have a subscription to send you out a new furnace quarterly. Or you can go to Amazon, you can go to Lowe's since you live right down the street from one. Just take the old one with you and make sure you have the right dimensions, and then they'll give you a new one.
And you guys, this is my recommendation. If there's anybody in your family that has allergies, our spring season is just, your car will be bright yellow or bright green from pollen. But also with brand new construction, there's a lot of airing off of things. So for instance, carpet fibers, because the house hasn't been vacuumed a lot, even drywall and paint particles. So my opinion would be change more often than normal, maybe the first 6 months in your house.
Absolutely.
And then I'll mention one more thing that's Northwest oriented. We can have a fire season. No, Kitsap County doesn't light on fire, but because we're between 2 mountain ranges, if there's a fire in Canada, Calgary, for instance, those mountain ranges funnel the smoke to our basin around the Puget Sound. And so if we have a heavy fire season, you may want to change that filter out more often.
Absolutely. The other part is I will show you downstairs where all the other manuals are, but when it comes to the manuals for this information, the furnace is right there and the hot water tanks is right here.
Hey, what is this sensor?
So this sensor right here is a moisture detector. All that sensor is there for, because what you'll see if you look on the side here, that sensor, if it detects any moisture, will shut the furnace off. The reason that is there is because say you don't change your furnace filter for a very long time and it gets very backed up, and then condensation builds because the airflow is not proper and things like that. It has an overflow which will then drain into this pan so that it does hit that moisture detector, and then it will shut everything off.
Awesome.
As I showed you outside the condensate lines, right here is where that comes from. So you have that one there, and then you also have the one in the floor right there for the hot water tank.
So those 2 lines we saw in one of the very first videos go
Yes.
from here to the outside.
You also, for your hot water tank, have its own shutoff. You should never need to do this, but if you ever do need to, these are where your heating elements for your hot water tank are. To maintenance those, you need to shut the water off, connect the hose right here to this here, take the hose out one of your windows or down the stairs, put it in your yard, obviously have the water off, and this right here is what is PRV valve. It's a pressure release valve. So once you have the water shut off, the hose hooked up and everything, if you pull this pressure relief valve, the water will start draining through gravity into the hose and out the house. There is equipment that you can get that sucks the water out, goes much faster, but gravity will also do the same. Once you do that, you undo these screws, you take this off. There's a special wrench that you need to change the heating element, and then you unscrew that and pull the heating element out. The reason I bring that up is because I'm not 100% familiar with how hard the water is in this area, but if you're in an area with hard water, what can happen is it can corrode those heating elements and therefore stop heating up your water. You'll have situations where one of them works and one of the other ones don't, so then your water's like warm for a very short period of time, then it gets super cold really fast. So these kind of things happen with the minerals and stuff we have in today's water. So I just like to tell homeowners, just in case they ever run into that, how they can address
And did
that.
Bob's install this as well?
Yes.
Okay.
So Bob's installs it. The electricians hook up the power, and then the plumbers come and hook up the PRV.
So you guys, this is just, Aunt Ida now talking. Have your systems serviced annually.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have your furnace serviced. You're going to have your water heater serviced. Not a whole lot they need to do. They're just going to look at it. You really don't have to do anything with the water heater unless it needs something done. But you want somebody to put their eyes on it for you. You're going to have your gutters cleaned, and you're going to have your roof treated. Also, Aunt Ida says get pest control.
Yeah.
So is this a hybrid water heater?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Is there a filter?
yes. There is a filter up here that is washable.
Yeah.
So it can be cleaned with just sinking water.
Just put it in the tub.
Yep.
Rinse it off. You want it to dry perfectly,
Before
completely
you
dry.
install it.
You put it back in. Yeah.
The cool thing about this is it has an energy saver mode. It has a high demand mode. You got a bunch of family in town, etc. It has a heat pump mode. It also has an electric mode, and it has a vacation mode, which is my personal favorite. I think that's cool. It saves money when you're gone, has no reason to heat up water, etc. But also keep it from being bad water.
Yay.
So that's all that's for.
Okay, Josh, say that again.
Yeah. So all toilets and sinks have their own water shutoff, just like the main water shutoff in the garage. Parallel to the supply line is on, perpendicular is off. So if you wanted to turn this off, you turn it just like that, and now there's no water going to your toilet. You will still have standing water in your toilet. All you do is you flush it and you hold it, and it will drain all the water that's in there.
So if they want to replace the toilet.
Yeah, and every once in a while, what happens is people get too comfortable leaning on these, and if you lean on this, it'll break the supply line because it's plastic. That goes in here, and then you'll get a drip that comes out of here, and it'll cause damage to the flooring. So
Hey fellas, the toilet is not meant to be a recliner. Nobody
Yes.
should be leaning on that.
exactly. So this is where, when they come, Safe Haven comes out, this is where your camera and the whole screen is going to be, is
The
right
control
here.
panel type
Yeah,
thing.
that is
For
what
Safe
this
Haven.
is for. So that's for Safe Haven to connect their stuff right here. Right here, you just have your thermostat. There's not a whole lot to it.
Is it a smart thermostat or?
Trying to remember, I want to say I've heard something about people being, once this is all installed, being able to connect their
Time
phone
in.
to this.
Okay.
And also, I do know for a fact you connect your phone to the hot water tank.
Okay.
So.
So guys, something just to follow up with Safe Haven about, obviously you can always install a Nest otherwise, but maybe when you're setting up your Safe Haven, ask about, is this tied in at some point? And it says scan to register. I'm just going to go on the record here saying every single appliance, everything, register it immediately so that you have coverage. Should be a shock, but I feel like some of the things that happen right away. And so you want to make sure you have coverage on your appliances, because these appliances are covered by the manufacturer warranty, not by the builder warranty.
Yeah, so your dishwasher, your range, and your microwave are all covered under Whirlpool. The heater, the hot water tank, and everything. I want to double check and look at that, but I will have a flash drive for the homeowners that has not only everything we talked about today, we're going to talk about today, but also way more. It covers all their warranties. It covers all of their. I'm waiting right now.
That's a scuttle hatch.
Yeah, I'm waiting right now on the second test results, but everything has been treated. Everything is good. I tested them twice just to make sure everything's good there, especially giving it time to actually like air out and things like that. It's super important. So I'm following all the necessary protocols that are required by me and also above and beyond because
this winter was tough everywhere. Every builder and everything I've sold this winter was new construction. I haven't sold really any resale. And every builder, all of them, even the multi-million-dollar builders had the same problem. Okay, you want to talk about the whole house fan?
Yes. So right here is what they call a whole house fan, which in return is also why we have this here, because the whole house fan is in the laundry room. The whole house fan is really, really good for the air quality in your home. It helps keep the airflow moving and it helps limit, condensation in windows. It helps limit the debris and dust that builds up in your house. They're kind of a newer thing over the last probably 10 years that really started being more implemented than it used to be. When they first came out, people weren't really sure what the purpose was, but it really does make a difference. And 9 times out of 10 people, they leave it running 24/7. You can set it to a timer to run at the hours of when you're home, which is
these are like little pins, right? That allow you to set.
So you can move this around for times of the day. So you got AM here and PM here. So this is 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., etc., and so on, all the way to midnight. Once you hit midnight, then it changes to 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., etc. And that'll dictate the time in which it's going to run. You also can just turn it to off and then control it by switch.
Okay. And so do these come out? Yeah. So these come out so you can set the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the pins come out.
Yep.
Okay.
So you can set all the time.
You just have to have good nails.
Yeah.
Neither of us have good nails. There they are.
They go up.
Oh, there's a lip.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they go like
nice.
this.
That's
I want
handier.
it to run from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Perfect.
You'd set it just like that. Turn it to timer.
And it's a really quiet fan, you guys, so I don't think it'd be something that would keep you awake. I highly, highly, highly recommend it.
Yep.
Washington State has the strictest energy efficiency rates in the entire country. What we have done is we've created a encapsulated house. So what happens is poor indoor air quality happens because we're not getting fresh air exchange. So they insulate the house to death, and then they put this in to counter the poor air quality we're creating literally from our own breath.
Yeah. No, seriously.
Brush your teeth. Just kidding.
This is your smart lock system and all that. You just pull this cover off like that. At the time of closing, I will delete the construction code from this and factory reset the whole thing. All you will have to do, the directions are here, but all you'll have to do is push this big brown button right here one time, and then you type in the code that you would like to have, and then hit the lock button. Once you do that, it'll do this whole...
That button that says quick set, right?
Yep.
Yep.
This quick set button right here is how you lock it. So right now, it's not set.
It isn't, and that's I went out the back door yesterday. I just locked it from the inside and went out the back door because this was not working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone probably reset it already. I think it's this door. So if you take this door off, this switch, it controls the power to your furnace. So if you take this door off, your furnace will shut off automatically. The main reason I'm telling you this is because on one of it's either this one or the top one. I believe it's the top one. There is your furnace light blinks a code. The code is based off of the blinks that your furnace is giving.
I think you're not in the lip on the lower level.
Wrong side. I forget it's not the top one. Wrong way. Sorry about that.
No, I just don't want it to land on your foot.
Well, that wouldn't be fun. There it is. I found the right one. I'll put it. So, right here is something important for homeowners to know about. The reason that is, the first number is going to be the first blink. It's my exciting phone call. So the light that is on the face of this right here,
Yeah.
that light comes from here. It blinks to a pattern.
Okay.
The slow blink is, so it goes slow. If it goes slow blink once, slow blink twice, that's 2. Slow blink once, and then fast blinks is 1 and a different number.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is if it gives you 1 slow blink and then it gives you 3 fast blinks, that's 13.
Okay.
If you go here and you look at it, limit circuit lockout.
Okay.
So, and it will explain to you what the issue is,
Okay.
which will help communicate to the person who you are calling to come fix it.
Yeah.
It's just good information to have. If you know how to work on things yourself and like to try and figure things out, that's how you can get the information and know what the issue is. For example, this is a pressure release valve, right? Or pressure valve? Pressure switch, sorry.
Yeah.
This pressure switch oftentimes can, at the beginning stages of construction, if our trades forget to put the lid on or something like that, this oftentimes becomes a problem because a bunch of debris gets in here, which I'll have it cleaned out. And these just push air through.
We don't want debris in the airline.
Yeah. And then it will cause this to fault. And this will tell you, oh, there's a pressure switch. Then you take these hoses off, you blow them out, clean them, and then you put them back on, and then it's fine. Or if the fan goes out, there's a code on here to tell you that the fan went out. So just look at the blinks that come through the light on the front, and they will give you the code to tell you what the issue is, and then that way you can either fix it yourself or communicate it to someone who does.
You guys, Bob's Heating and Cooling is just like everywhere here. And so me personally, since they put in the system, they know the neighborhood, that is who I would call for the annual maintenance. And they may even have a really good rate for people that had the system installed by them. You know, it's just worth looking into. But when I come to sell your house, there's a little checklist on the wall, service reminder. I want to see a date there for every year that you've lived in the house. Hey guys, Aunt Ida here. You're going to bring your washer and dryer, and then I just highly recommend that you get braided hoses. Get the braided hoses, not just the plastic hoses. You probably already know this, but you want the braided ones because the plastic ones have a tendency to wear out and burst. Also, me personally, this is what I would do. I would get a pan. And so they have a pan that you can put on your floor just to catch if, you know, we have a little water going over to catch some of that water. So that's my recommendation, a pan. And then when we're installing the hoses for the washing machine, get braided hoses.
If you ever wanted to take this window out, there's these metal tabs right here. There's one right there.
Easier said than done. We need a screwdriver or something.
There's one right there. And I don't have fingernails because I bite them. And there's one right there. Once you pop those tabs out, if you pull the window up, there you go. Like that, it'll pop the tracks out just like that. And then you can take the window out. You'll want to do this every once in a while if your windows start to get stiff and things like that. You want to do that, especially if it's been super windy and say we're doing construction up there and you're getting a lot of dust in the air and things like that. We do a lot of things to limit that from happening for homeowners, but it does still happen. You can take the tracks out, clean those, and clean those. I also recommend if you are going to lubricate your window tracks, it is very important that you don't use something like WD-40. You'll want to use like a silicone spray.
Something very specific for vinyl windows. Otherwise, you ruin your window warranty.
Silicone spray is really good because it lasts a lot longer than anything else.
And it doesn't collect debris.
Exactly. Yeah. So I recommend that's how our window company, that's how they also do it.
So you guys, if you want to clean your own windows, this is just the coolest thing. You can pop this out. Obviously, you can clean both sides. You can, pop out the screen. These are the tabs for the screen, and then you'll be able to reach up and clean the outside of the upper part of the double hung, or the window. It's not a double hung window, but single hung window.
Yeah. When Safe Haven comes to hook up your homeowner package, they'll also be hooking stuff up in here too as well. And there's also an outlet in here for that. So that's all this is. This is a little tricky to get in and out. You just got to make sure to align these things. It's really sturdy. It's not going to break. You can choose to have it this way or this way. It really is completely up to you. I personally put it this way. And then you put those in there. You kind of bend the sides in like that.
Perfect.
Oops. There we go.
Awesome.
And then all you do is you just pull it out.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's about it in here. You got a shower in here. Not a whole lot to it.
Would you talk about caulking or lack thereof for weeping also? Do you have that in here?
Yes, so we do not caulk the bottom of your tub. So this is a 4-panel buildup. So what that means is you have the 1 bottom pan, and then you have the 3 top pans. So this is its own panel, that's its own panel, and that's its own panel. They're put together kind of like Tetris, so they have an overlap in the back. So on the bottom panel, it has a lip, like probably 2-ish inches, 2-3 inches. And then the panels on the top also have that same lip, but they sit on top of each other like this. The way it's designed is for the water
Channel
that
it.
comes down the walls, and it just channels it into the tub. So I would not recommend caulking that, because if you get a buildup of water in there, then it sits there, it can cause other things to happen.
Yeah.
So just know that it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna cause any damage of it being the way it is. That's completely normal, and it's the same thing in your bath too as well.
Oh.
This bathroom is the only place in your house outside of your garage where you have a GFI. However, this GFI is connected to your powder bath downstairs as well.
Okay.
So if you ever have any issues and you downstairs, say you got a guest and they're using the powder bath to blow dry the hair or something, and they try to plug it in, it's not working.
You have to reset this one in the hallway bathroom upstairs.
Yep. And that's a trick, just like outside.
Awesome.
And then you push that in, and we're all good. That one works.
So we know
Yeah.
what it should sound like.
Yep.
Yeah.
The only difference in this.
Hold on. Okay, and you got a little,
Okay. Yeah, I noticed a few paint touch-ups I'll take care of for you today.
would you ask whoever it is to make sure that this vent cover is seated right on all of the vents? I've noticed all of them a little wonky, and I don't know if they are, but that's how they look, just to make sure they're not just hanging on by a thread.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll have those looked at.
Okay.
There's not really any difference. This bathtub just has a tub. It drains, operates just as normal. So
No caulking.
it kind of no caulking. Same thing on the bottom down there. So yeah.
Awesome.
In here, this is bedroom number 4. Nothing too cool or crazy about this room. Very generic room. Doesn't have doesn't have a cable jack or anything like that. It's just a standard bedroom with some bifolds. And here is where there's a difference. So, this bedroom has this is a return air grill for your furnace. It's supposed to look like that.
It's not supposed to have a filter though.
Yes, the filter is in there.
Yeah.
Every once in a while we'll have a situation where we have to put the filter up there depending on the house, and then we'll swap the filter locations and stuff like that. But you don't have to worry about messing with that or doing anything. It's just your return air duct for your furnace. So.
Yeah. So the filter's built into your furnace. No need to add one there. I think if you did, you'd probably suffer a little bit of less airflow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For your microwave, you have a make and model number right here. It's the SER and the top number right there, the WMH, which is typically always microwaves when it comes to Whirlpool. Those are going to be information that you need when you are registering your appliances for warranty. On your range, it is right here on the bottom. You have your serial and model number.
Is that a storage area under there, or what is that lower?
It's both. You can use it as storage, or you can use it as a warming tray.
Okay.
Yeah,
And so that rack there is the extra rack
Yes.
that would go in.
Yep.
Okay,
So
awesome.
you can take this rack, you put it inside, but they just come like that, so that's
Yeah.
where we leave them.
Yeah, that's good.
Why are you being? Oh,
Catching up on something.
yeah. Let's just go outside. And then for your dishwasher, it's right on the inside of the door right here. Make and model number and serial number. Like we've mentioned before, those are under warranty through Whirlpool themselves. So if you have any issues with those, you'll need to talk to Whirlpool about that and give them that information. This is corner bead. It's what we put on the corners right here of your cabinets.
Yeah.
This is quarter round. It's what we have right here on the flooring. And this is just cabinet spacer. It's cabinet filler for certain locations.
Like right there.
Yes, like right there.
So guys, we're gonna put this with your stuff in the garage. You probably never need it other than a reference point. So if you were going to replace a piece of this, you might want to take it to Lowe's, Home Depot, or whatever and say, I need more of this or this. Probably won't need this, but we're gonna leave it in the garage just in case.
For your garbage disposal, this is just a clean out. We're required by code to have one of those because we're next to a water source. So, and then that's the outlet that is connected to the GFI out in the garage.
Awesome. And you've got extra plugins there, which is really nice if you want to put a InSinkerator, water filter, hot water, blah, blah, blah. And then we already talked about the fact we don't have to have one of those ugly aerators because we got the 4-hole thing outside.
Johnson T.
The Johnson T.
Which is also, it's connected, so it's behind the wall right here.
Yeah.
It's in the wall, and if you go into any house that's in actually production right now, you can kind of see what it looks like. It looks like a weird contraption, kind of like that.
Nice.
So right here is just a phone jack.
For
No
anybody
one
that ever
really
has a
uses
phone.
them.
Do you know something really cool?
What?
Have a phone. Get an old phone. Get a new phone. One that fits that. Even if you do not have phone service to your house, should there ever be an emergency and there's no power, you can call 911.
Really?
Yeah, without having phone service. Because there's phone lines to the house.
Yeah.
So 911 will work with a phone. They have to have a phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
that's the hard part.
Yeah.
Right here is there's outlets on both ends of the cabinets, or island, sorry. And there's a couple things I want to touch when it comes to the flooring and here.
Okay.
Floors, it is recommended by us that you do not use a mop. You use a mop, and you have water gets into these seams right here, and then what'll happen is it'll start bubbling up, and it'll cause
Cupping,
damage.
bubbling, rippling.
Yeah.
You guys just go straight to the manufacturer's website and find out what they recommend. What is the one? It starts with a B. But yeah, just a Swiffer or something like that. Just you do not, if you're,
Steamers.
do not use a steamer. If anything overflows, get it up quickly.
You spill a cup of water, knock it over, and
Yeah.
get it up sooner rather than later.
Yep.
Countertops, you do not want to put anything acidic on these. If you leave, like you can cut something real quick and then clean it up, but say you cut a tomato and you left it there, if you came back the next day, it will stain.
Stain it.
'Cause
Okay,
this is
so
just
lemon,
quartz. So,
vinegar,
yep,
tomatoes, anything
Orange
acidic.
juice.
So
Yeah.
just use a cutting board.
yep. And don't apply it's not very thick like the old school granite is.
Yeah.
So you apply direct heat to it, it could cause some damage.
So it's
So
a glass.
use a heating pad.
Yeah.
use
Put a
heating
hot pad down. Yeah.
So
Yep.
all that kind of stuff. And also be aware that this is not a warrantable item. Your countertops are installed as they are, and they are what they are.
Yep.
There's nothing that my office will allow me to do about them. And also, too,
No dancing on them.
Yep. And also, too, if it does break, it's not something that you can just get repaired. You'll have to replace the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, say you chip the corner here and you want to fix it, you got to replace this whole thing.
Yeah.
Vice versa here. And they have different panels, so like, you can see it very faintly if you look for it.
There's
But
a seam.
there is a
Yeah.
seam right here because this is one piece,
panel. Yeah.
and this is one piece, and that is one piece.
And you guys, I have people for this stuff. The good thing about quartz is they can match it. It's just a pattern, just a pattern. The bad thing about granite is you can't match it. So if something breaks on granite, you can never line it up again.
Yep.
So
You could easily replace just this whole slab, and it'll look exactly like
exactly.
paintable as well.
You guys, none of this you're ever going to have access, but you're going to want to know that that is a sewage clean out, and it's in the pantry. You'll never, ever, ever need to get to it. But the reason it's here is because it has to be within so many feet of the kitchen area.